Welcome to Career Q&A Live, everybody. This is a series by UCSB Career Services that brings professionals and UCSB students together virtually to learn about different career paths, ask questions, and make connections. My name is Eric, and I will be your host for today's chat. I serve as a career counselor who specializes in working with students interested in careers related to communications and arts, which is the focus of today's conversation. Our agenda for today starts off with a quick introduction about our special guest, followed by a few questions I will ask to him, and then any questions that you have as students. So if you're tuning in live, you can submit your questions via the chat box on your screen at any time, and I will be checking those periodically to ensure we ask as many of them as we can. Also, for those of us who are here live, in about 30 minutes, once our Q&A portion is done, we will have a special portion where our special guest will be actually critiquing social media profiles from students who've submitted those profiles in advance to us. I'd also like to let you know that this portion of the session is being recorded, just the Q&A portion. So if you're watching our video on YouTube, check out the questions from today in the description box below, and you can jump ahead to the portion that is most important to you. So without further ado, today we are chatting with Larry Shapiro, who is the CEO of Ensemble Digital Studios. So thanks for joining us, Larry. Larry has a successful 20-plus-year track record of managing and producing creative content in all forms of media and pioneering the convergence between next-gen talent and traditional Hollywood. So we are very grateful and excited to get to learn more from Larry about his career path and any advice he has for students. So we're going to start off with a few questions. Again, students, feel free to submit questions. I already see a couple coming in here. But our first question for Larry is, how did you get started in your career as related to the education, experiences, and skills that you gained?
How did I get started? Okay, and I can't see myself, can I? Okay.
Yeah, we can see you very well. So that part, I think we're covered. Okay.
No, I can't see, but I can't see me for some reason. Okay. So I got started. I always wanted to be in Hollywood in the 20s, right? I always wanted to be like, it's always like, where, how do you get in at the very ground level of something? And I started my career making these wacky 3 to 4 minute videos that teenagers were watching back in the day, and they were actually called music videos. And I remember my senior project, literally my senior project at NYU Film School. I always wanted to be a producer. And so I was a producer for a friend of mine who was a director. It was our senior thesis. And he said, hey, my next door neighbor, my down the hall, he's got some money to make a music video. And so we're like, great, someone's got money. Let's make whatever they want. We didn't care. He's like, yeah, he wants to be like, he wants to get into the record industry and stuff like that. And he manages this band, these 3, rappers and stuff like that. I was like, oh, okay, great. I was like, where are these rappers from? And he's like, Greenwich Village. And I was like, all right, great. 3 white rappers from Greenwich Village. All right, that should be fun. And so I went over and sat with the guy, and he said, yeah, I manage this band, and we have some money to make a music video. I was like, great, and give us a song and we'll start figuring it out. I was like, oh, what's their name? And he's like, oh, they call themselves the Beastie Boys. So my senior film was the first music video for the Beastie Boys.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
And that guy who was, wanting to be in the record business was a kid by the name of Rick Rubin, who started Def Jam.
Wow, yeah.
So you never know where your college friends are going to wind up. So be nice to everybody and work hard.
I think that's great advice. It's true. You know, when you're in college, these are the people you're networking with. Those are the people that are right next to you in class.
Exactly. Those are the people who are going to get you your job. Those are the people. Like my first PA job came from a college friend who was dating some producer, and he was doing a movie, and that's how I got my first PA job. But it's like you never know. So just be nice to everybody. No judgment. Be nice to everybody.
Yeah, that's a great rule of thumb for a lot of aspects of life. I'm a big fan of that.
So the music video world, that was like the silent film days of Hollywood. Like everyone, if you couldn't get into the studio business, if you couldn't get on a movie or into TV, you made music videos. You got into music videos. It was a wild west, and it was all open, and we were changing the rules. And I think that that's really what is so great about today, because we're in the same moment of time right now. Right? The whole industry is being disrupted, and that is nothing but opportunity for every single one of these kids who have dialed into this conversation. Right? This phone right here has more technology in it than Orson Welles had on Citizen Kane. Right? So nothing should be stopping you from just getting out there and doing something. And that's the most important thing.
So as a follow-up to that, how can students do that? What would you recommend? How can they start getting involved in digital content and growing an audience?
Well, they just start today. Literally, it's like, okay, you know what? I want to be a producer. I want to be an actress. I want to be a filmmaker. I have this phone. I have right now 1,000 followers or 500 followers. You know what? I'm going to do best practices, and I'm going to grow my audience. And that's what I'm going to do. And what's also interesting is that I did a little bit of research and stalking as well. Who is doing the UCSB YouTube channel? Why isn't anyone owning that? Why isn't anyone saying, you know what? We have a channel. I'm going to start making something. I'm going to make it tomorrow. And that is, there should be no excuses. You have a UCSB YouTube channel. Why isn't anyone owning it? Why isn't anyone producing for it? Why isn't anyone who wants to be a producer saying, you know what? I'm going to make a format and I'm going to put it on the UCSB YouTube channel. And once you start putting it up there, the great thing is now you have access to the data and the analytics, and now you're learning even more.
Yeah, so could you talk a little more about kind of this analytics-driven environment we're in, and that instant information we can have when we work with digital content of seeing those trends, and how can students use their good critical thinking skills to really learn through that and use that in a valuable way?
What's interesting is that the students probably understand more than they realize when it comes to producing. So I work with some top digital creators, and what's interesting is they wake up, they go on here. Actually, you know what? Here's what I want everyone to do. Everyone who's probably online has probably got a web browser open up and stuff like that. Go to Google Trends. Right now, go to Google Trends and see what's trending, right? Then you see what's trending, and let's see, Google Trends.
Seeing Taylor Swift and Kim Kardashian.
Right, okay. So if you go to Google Trends, you'll see, okay, so Taylor Swift but then if you look in the US, yeah, Taylor Swift and Kim Kardashian. In the world, it's all about the World Cup, right? And then I could scroll down, obviously latest stories and insights. Game of Thrones is trending, right? So if you start if you start looking recently trending, I see Britney Spears, 100,000 searches, recently. Fortnite, you can take any one of these. My clients go on Google Trends, they see what's trending, and they make a video about it. Now, what's interesting about that is that, look, some people might be like, well, I don't want to make a video about Taylor Swift or Kim Kardashian. To a certain degree, if you're creative enough, you might figure out a way to intersect that. Because if you do intersect that, content, there's so much content being made. Right now, there is 500 hours uploaded to YouTube, 500 hours of content uploaded to YouTube every minute.
I believe that.
Now, no, it's true. It's true. Look it up. And I was at YouTube today for they invited all the managers and agents down that represent creators to the YouTube space today. And we had a little session and stuff like that. But what's interesting about as the most important thing today to understand, if anyone wants to get into on the business side of content, digital marketing and understanding digital marketing is wide open. Like literally, if you want to get into marketing, get into digital marketing and understand that, because when you look at Netflix, when you look at Hulu, when you look at Amazon, all those companies are disrupting Hollywood. And most importantly, all those companies are successful because they're analyzing the data and they're putting out what people want to see, what people are searching for. So they're looking at all that information. And it's like, oh, people like this, people like that, let's make more shows about this. And that's, and because we are now, everyone who's logged in, this generation, like you and I, Eric, or at least me, my content was delivered. I grew up on what was called must-see TV. Like every Thursday it was Seinfeld, Friends, all that. It was like must-see TV. So every Thursday I was on NBC from 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock watching the shows that I knew were going to be on. And then DVR came and stuff like that. But this audience searches for content, right? They search for content. So when you're making content, if you're a creator, if you're a marketer, if you're a studio exec, you have to understand what your behavior is. When you're looking for something, you go right to Google or you go right to YouTube. YouTube's the second largest search engine in the world.
Yeah.
So that's really important. So when you're making something, you have to be current. You have to be, like, words are so important in your titling, in your thumbnails. It's like, what am I clicking on? It's like everyone knows the terms like clickbait and stuff like that. But you're paying attention to the thumbnail. And those thumbnails are like today's one sheets. They're the movie posters. And that title is so important because those words, because people are searching for keywords. And if you hit on a keyword in your title, then you're going to be up in the search bar. And then you're going to have more of a probability of someone clicking on your content.
This is great. And I see a really great follow-up question from a student that just came through, kind of following up to ask about the data analytics side of this. Relative to the other skills you might suggest for students to gain, how important do you feel data analytics is when it comes to digital marketing and entertainment?
So important. It's no longer just about the pixie dust. It's about the data too. And so look, I grew up, it's entertainment behavior, right? These kids, all you students, you're searching for content. We grew up, it was delivered to us. I used to, I'll date myself, I'll tell you a quick story. In 1987, I worked on a music video for a band called Loverboy. All right, now everybody who's online, search Loverboy Notorious original music video 1987. You're going to see a really cool video that is so dated and so 80s. But what's really cool is that video in 1987 won Best Music Video. Okay? Now, that music video director couldn't even get arrested in 1987. He was a really hip and happening music video director, couldn't get arrested in Hollywood. But that video showed a whole generation of 15 and 16-year-olds how they should like their entertainment. It started to shape our production values, what we liked, what the kids looked for in their content, right? And what I say is those kids, those 15 and 16-year-olds who in 1987 grew up are now the adults in a world today who are paying $15 a month on Netflix just to watch House of Cards. Okay?
Right.
Now, that director was a kid by the name of David Fincher, okay, who also produced and directed House of Cards. Okay, so that generation was trained by this young director, right? Now, the directors today are shaping these students, are shaping Gen Z, are shaping Gen Y. However, these directors, my directors, all the directors I represent come from online. And they come from online where they're watching the back-end data. They're looking at retention rates. They're looking at where their traffic sources are coming from. Why? Because they're making a living on YouTube. So all of my directors, the difference between some of my directors and David Fincher is my directors understand data now. This is the first generation of artists who is using data and analytics to create content. And here's the thing, and this is how important data is. Countries have weaponized it against us. And they're looking at the same data that any artist or has a YouTube channel has, right? So artists today can use data as much as anyone else to sway audiences. All they're doing is using data to grow an audience. Now, they weaponized it. We're just trying to monetize it and entertain. It's the same process. It's the same information. That's how powerful it is. And that's how powerful artists today can be.
That's great. I think, so it's really helpful to see how the power of data is totally transforming this industry. I'm seeing also some questions come in a little more on the talent side of this. So one student is asking or saying, I've spent the past few years interning in talent and literary management firms. I would like to transition to the digital space, but have struggled to find where the role of a traditional rep fits into the digital industry. Where do reps fit into the careers of digital talent, and how can I translate my experience over to this new market? I think that's a great question.
Okay, so can you ask that student what agency and management company he or she were at?
Yeah, I'll look to see if they can chat that in. Yeah, so looking for Untitled Entertainment and WME.
Okay, so WME, their digital department is run by a guy by the name of Chris Jackaman. Okay, and Chris, I mean, literally every major agency has a digital department. So, and they would love kids to be in that space. Those digital departments are literally growing and becoming the biggest and most important departments in these agencies. When I was an agent at CAA, and I was like the first agent ever to like start thinking digitally and representing. I started the games division at CAA. So I represented every major gaming platform. I represented Xbox. I represented the creators of Halo, the creators of Guitar Hero. I mean, literally, I was walking around Hollywood with the prototype of Guitar Hero, playing it with guys like John Bon Jovi. At Untitled Entertainment, Jason Newman would love people who were focusing on digital. So a lot of the traditional management companies kind of don't understand it. They'll look at you like, what's that? But some of the bigger ones like Untitled, they totally understand entertainment, digital, authentic, absolutely, anonymous. They just hired Sarah Weichel. They're starting to build up their digital department as well. So all the traditional agencies do have. So what's important is that here's the opportunity for young students like yourself, right? Because right now you're living this world, right? You look at the 35, 40-year-old representatives from traditional, they have no clue who Laura Cleary is. They have no clue what, this whole thing between Charles James and, the whole, all that stuff. They have no clue of that stuff. However, this is your lifestyle. This is what you guys are doing. So you walk into an agency, and if you're able to rattle off some of the top fashion influencers or some of the top video directors who are coming from online, you become marketable inside those agencies. You become a utility. You're like, you know what, talk to so-and-so because they know all that stuff. Oh, they're following all those Instagrammers and stuff like that. And the most important thing, if you want to go into that as a representative in this space, is learn this and understand how to build audience. And I'm happy to come up, and I have a whole lecture that talks about how to grow audience, and I'm actually doing it at UCLA at the end of May. I do it at USC. I do it for Pace, and I can come up there, happy to do it, because I've hired one of your student body, Ryan Stibor, who is I think she's a film studies major there. She interned for me last year, and literally she was helping me work directly. It wasn't like she was getting coffee or anything like that. She helped write one of my clients' books, and I just showed Eric. I gave her a credit in the in the book. Her name is now in a published book, or a book that will be published in November. And that you can make yourself so valuable if you know this stuff. That is so great to walk into an agency and say, yeah, I know the best practices of Instagram. Yeah, I know these top, oh, you know who I really like? I like this area of it, this area of influencer. It's great.
I think, this is really great. Actually, I'm learning a lot from this. And so I see another student question coming in that's sort of another interpretation of this topic. So one person saying they're finding it's hard to get a foot in the door, being in college, trying to get into the talent management field or the digital media field. And so they're saying a lot of talent management companies are expecting years of experience even for these positions that are entry level. So they're struggling to get in, with UTA or CAA to even just get a look at their resume or get a conversation going. So what can they do to stand out?
Be excellent, be nice. This is why I wanted to look at everyone's Instagram account. Right? Not the LinkedIn account, but the Instagram, because when I literally, whenever I'm looking at someone, I'll stalk them on social media. I'll look exactly where I'm going. And like, if you looked at Ryan Stibor's Instagram account, you see she was like working some kind of event. She's holding a clipboard. She's doing, I looked and I was like, you know what? That's the kind of person I want on my team. Outgoing, just kind, having fun and stuff like that. Not sitting there, I'm not looking and seeing like, a bunch of bikini shots or, just like beer bongs and stuff like that. It's like, okay, here's someone who's showing me that they're ready to play, that they're ready to be a professional, that they're out there making it happen. And it's like, that's who I want on my team. So I really think that, a lot of, there's resumes, but those are just words. A picture says 1,000 words, right? And that's why I always go to someone's Instagram. I'm looking at it. I'm like, okay, that's who I want on my team.
Yeah. Yeah. So it sounds like that digital presence, if you want to be working in entertainment, you basically have to have a digital presence and have it really represent you intentionally. Is that right?
You have to start today. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you have to show that you're ready to step up and make it happen. And so with getting your foot in the door, it's not just about, look, yeah, there's 4 major agencies, right? But the thing is that you probably know, if you want to be a representative, start signing some younger talent. You can just call them up and say, hey, I really like your stuff. You know what? I want to be a rep. Just like, look, I was in college and I produced the Beastie Boys' first music video, right? I was like, all right, and then Rick Rubin, helped me out when I graduated, and he became, and he opened some doors for me and stuff like that. But I met him in college. That's like when you look at all the young record executives back in the day, they all, these were the guys who were doing the concert promotions on campus and stuff like that. It's like, you want to get into UTA or CAA? Well, you know what? Start right now. Look at your YouTube channel, UCSB, so you can go and say, oh, by the way, I started producing a show for UCSB. I increased our subscriber count by, tenfold. I had, so many thousands of views and stuff like that. And I was editing and uploading and stuff like that. I'm going to look at that kid and say, you know what? You're on my team. You know what? I want you to help Will Smith on his YouTube channel right now. True though. That's the thing. And I say this, when I lecture for a lot of actors at Pace University, I'm an adjunct professor there. The thing about the most important thing about what's happening today, right, is there's a term I use called disintermediation. Okay, and everyone write this down: disintermediation, and look it up. Okay, and basically, you're cutting out the middleman. That's what disintermediation is about. When I pick up this cell phone, right, and I want a cab, I push a button, and a cab comes to me. I want a pizza, boom, pizza comes to me. Okay, so you want a job? You know what? Go out and get it. Start making it happen. Start signing people. You want to be a representative? Start making it happen. Show people that you're not waiting for someone to validate you. The great thing about what's happening in today's entertainment and business world is it's people are just taking it upon themselves to make it happen. I can grow an audience, and then I could sell my audience a t-shirt. I can push a few buttons, I can design a t-shirt, and boom, it gets out there. And all of a sudden, I'm a businessman, right? Look at my back. Right now, it's at night, but I'm right now I'm working out of my son's room who's in college, right? It's like, if he saw me right now, he'd kill me, be like, Dad. But the thing is, I don't need to be on, Avenue of the Americas today, right? I have my cell phone. I have you don't need to be validated.
Right.
It happen yourself. When you look at today, look what's happening today in Hollywood now, right? There's such a disruption. The Writers Guild, the writers are firing their agents. And no one knows what is going on. We've never been in this situation before.
I think it's a great message to be setting to students, to really just take action on anything you want to do, but especially when it's entertainment related. There's so many opportunities. I love just, you showed your phone and like, look at all the things you can do just with that to engage an audience. As a career counselor,
I'll tell you even more. Okay. One of my clients is Casey Rice, and she's on Instagram, Casey Rice Official. She's 16 years old. She's 16 years old. Mm-hmm. She has over 2 million followers. And she didn't wait for someone to give her a job. She's like, I'm a dancer. I got a camera. I'm going to make it happen. And I'm going to do my thing. Okay? She's 16 years old. I just got her an Audible deal, 5 figures, to just say, hey, check this out on Audible. Listen, bum, 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 bum. Goes right in the bank for her. Okay? And that's the thing. It's like everyone's out here, oh, please give me a job. Please give me a job. You know what? No, you make it happen. You find someone, you make it happen. You can start your own business.
Yeah.
Don't wait. Don't wait to be validated. Just behind you, it says be. Just be. Absolutely.
I love it. Yeah. And I think that's a great message, even just to expand that to go, doesn't matter what major I have, sure, you get certain training from certain majors, but the message you're saying is like, hey, you can do this almost no matter what.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And so I see a question coming through about job search websites for jobs in entertainment, but I hear you talking a lot about just being proactive and let your results drive your efforts and then get noticed that way. So is it even worth the time for students to apply to jobs online?
It's a numbers game. Those jobs online, you're filling things out and you're throwing darts at the wall and you're hoping one of them sticks. You're hoping you get it. You hope you get in there. That does become about shaping your resume. That does become about data itself, because people are looking for keywords, right? However, if you look at, especially if people want to be in entertainment or in this space, I got to tell you, digital media, digital marketing, influencer marketing, there's all these young companies that are literally starting up. Any company that goes direct to audience, whether it's FabFitFun, whether it's Stitch, someone tell me Stitch, the subscription fashion thing, right? Trunk Club, Stitch. All those companies look at, because they're all, you are, I don't care about having years of experience. You're a Gen Z, you're a Gen Y, you're online. I'm going to look at your social feed. You know what you're talking about. You got great engagement. You know what you're doing online. I want that person. This is such an amazing field. And also look at your lifestyle. Look at your lifestyle. You want to be in marketing? Look at your lifestyle. What are you doing? And it's so frustrating because I don't have the back and forth with the students, but it's like, if you're going to, order, if you're going to get razors, where are you going to go, kids? Are you going to go to Rite Aid and buy a razor, or are you going to go to Dollar Shave Club? Mm-hmm. If you need a mattress, are you going to go to Sit and Sleep, or are you just going to call up Purple and have it delivered to your door? Mm-hmm. Understand your lifestyle. You want to ride, and Lyft, Uber, all those companies are hiring, and all those companies are so cool. Go into a WeWork, literally go into a WeWork and walk around and see who's renting those cubes, right? And then just knock on and say, hey, I'm hip, I'm cool. Are you hiring? Oh, wow. Hey, man, what's going on? Let's grab a cup of coffee. Mm-hmm. That's how it's going to be. There's so many WeWorks. At every single WeWork, there's 5 to 15 probably startup companies that you could be going into.
So I see this as a good transition point momentarily. Let's go into some social profiles and do that. But I want to end on two quick questions that came through, and that should cover our basis for the student questions.
And I have as much time as you want.
I love it. I love it. You are awesome. For growing an audience, I know like the things you're talking about involve having an audience. So students have to start from zero sometimes with that. How quickly, this is a student question, how quickly do you think someone can grow a viable audience?
Okay, I'll tell a couple of stories here. But the best practices for growing on Instagram, right? And everyone get your pens ready because I'm only going to say this once. All right. The best practices for growing an audience on Instagram is posting every day. 3 of those posts per week should be videos because videos rank higher in the algorithm. So that takes care of your main feed. Then post a story morning, afternoon, and evening because the stories are actually time-stamped. The regular posts aren't. Okay, so do work on stories and then go live at least once a week and go live at least once a week for at least 45 minutes. And hell, you could be doing your homework and just leave it live. Or you can be like, hey guys, it's me. You know what? I'm going to be cooking. I'm going to be making cooking and stuff like that. Check out, see who's dialing in or who's calling in. You might have 2 people. Doesn't matter. But what you're trying to do is you're telling the Instagram algorithm, I'm serious about you. And I'm giving you love. So give it back. And then another thing to do is collaborate with your friends. Share audiences. Collab with your friends. Tag each other and stuff like that. Chances are, you know, you're going to gain some of those followers. Be meaningful in your content. Don't just, if you're doing something, it's a visual. Don't just be there and take pictures of In-N-Out Burger, right? It's like food porn. You know, who cares? But you eating an In-N-Out Burger is much more meaningful to your audience because your audience wants you. They could care less about seeing a picture of an In-N-Out Burger like, oh, you're cool. No, but here I am eating a, double animal style. Boom, that's going to get more engagement. And then you tag In-N-Out Burger. And then, that hashtag might hit some people. And don't over hashtag. Do like 2 or 3 hashtags and make them hyper vertical. Make them specific. Don't just be like bright day or actor's life. I'm like, every time I see an actor say actor's life, so I'm like, oh my God, who cares? Okay? But it's like you go in and you'd be like double, it's getting in a little more narrow because again, this world is all about being hyper vertical, right? It's not mass media anymore, right? It's social media. It's meaningful. Okay. It's data driven. You want to zoom in, you want to zero in on certain hashtags. So those are the things. And the other thing is Instagram's a facial algorithm. It's a facial algorithm. And when if you look at your Instagrams, the ones of, that has your face and stuff like that, it's more than likely going to have more engagement and more likes than just you doing, oh, look at this apple pie. Oh, look at this spicy tuna roll.
Right.
Right. So that's I forgot what the question was, but that's about growing your audience. And it does take a while, but it's about consistency. The biggest driver of audience and growth is consistency and never giving up. So in 2005, there was this girl who made like her own little, and here's the thing, you can make your own YouTube show, right? You can make your own YouTube show. You can do whatever. There was this girl in Stanford in 2000, I think in 2005. She made a YouTube video, like her own little series, and it was called Black at Stanford. It's an African-American girl, and she made her little YouTube series, Black at Stanford, right? And then wait, where's I gotta look. Hang on one second.
And students, as you're standing by, feel free to submit one or two final questions. We'll be doing questions for a couple more minutes.
So then, right. So Black at Stanford, and then she, and it did okay. It did okay. She got some views and things like that. And maybe she grew her channel, and maybe she had like a few thousand followers. And then, so that was 2005. And then a few years later, learning from this thing, watching the data, she created another series called Misadventures of an Awkward Black Girl. Okay? And that got a lot more. And then her YouTube channel picked up and stuff like that. And then in 2015, 10 years later, but she started at school where you kids are now. 10 years later, she is nominated for a Golden Globe, and her name is Issa Rae.
Wow. Gosh. Yeah, I love this this theme you keep bringing out of like being intentional. Like it's almost not so much about how quickly can you grow the audience, but how much can you be intentional and work towards a specific goal and really deliver on that and be, regular about it.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
There we go. That's it. I love it. Great. I see. Okay, there's one more question in here. This is a quick one. What kind of you kind of touched on this with your best practices, but which kind of digital media content is more promising, live streaming or produced content?
Both, right? Because if you look at, here's the thing, right? And it's, no one can, I can't see anyone raise their hands, but like Instagram TV. Has anyone played with Instagram TV? It's a new platform. Why isn't any one of you students, why aren't you starting to build an audience on Instagram TV? There's Hollywood in the 20s. No one's there. Instagram TV, Twitch, okay? Kids are literally, the kids who have millions of followers now, they started with 0. They started with 1. But you know what? They said, you know what? I'm just going to do it. And I'm going to keep doing it. You know why? Because no one's telling me not to. No one's stopping me except me. It's like, if I'm going to say anything to any one of these students, get out of your own way. Don't overcomplicate it. Get out of your own way. Okay? What about Twitch TV? I don't know, man. Go do it. Go start a Twitch channel, right? And it doesn't have to be about gaming, right? When you look at where Twitch, the growth in Twitch is not going to be in gaming. It's going to be in other verticals. It's going to be in fashion. It's going to be in cooking. It's going to be in comedy. It's whatever it is. Look for the blue waters, right? Right now, you want to go on Twitch TV and be a gamer or a live streaming gaming. Well, yeah, you're in bloody waters now, right? The shark-infested waters. Find the blue waters, man. Go where they're not. And that's the thing. So is it Twitch? Is it YouTube? Is it Instagram? It's everything. It's everything. What about TikTok, right? Who's on TikTok? These platforms are all nightclubs, right? It's like eventually, everyone's going to get tired of something and go to another nightclub.
Yeah.
What is that? If you see a new platform, you know what? Log in and start making content and plant your flag there. Be a pioneer on a new platform. It's everywhere. And that's the thing. It's like, it's not on, you know, everyone started to, I'm a big history buff. So if you look at Napster launching in 1995, and that was the ability to distribute music really seamlessly, that one technology destroyed the record industry, right?
Yeah.
It completely changed the record industry. And now the biggest names in music are Apple, right? Amazon. And the same thing happened with broadband, where we started to be able to distribute rich media, movie files, TV files, as easy as it was music. And look what happened to the studios. Now the biggest names in the business are Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, right? It's like, plant your flag.
Yeah. Well, I think this is a great concluding point for this portion of the session, and you've shared so many great best practices, so many ways for students to be thinking about their future in digital content and entertainment. And perhaps one point I can add to this, as someone who's a UCSB alum myself and a career counselor here at this campus, I know how students who graduate from this campus often feel, okay, what do I do with my major? It's a broad major. It's an education that's a liberal arts education. It's helping me think critically, but I don't have maybe the training on a specific technical skill or tool. And I think it's really great what you're saying about how change is so prevalent in this industry. And that's really what a liberal arts education can do, is help you to be adaptable and be able to think critically about what are the trends in the industry, what are the things I need to be learning and getting that skill, because in 5 years it's going to be different. It's going to be old news. So I love that you're talking about that. I think it's really, really relevant and useful to UCSB students.
Oh, great.
And I also wanted to add, I scoped out your LinkedIn profile a bit, and one thing I loved about your profile that I rarely see these days is you've actually given more recommendations to others than the ones you've received. Although you've received a lot too. I think your ratio is like 20 recommendations given and 16 received, which is awesome. And I think it just captures your passion and your great help that you are.
Work hard and be nice to everybody.
It's a great way to live, and I hope that's a model for students who are tuning in today. So this concludes our portion of the Q&A session of Career Q&A Live today. I'd like to thank our special guest, Larry, for taking the time out of his busy work week. And for those of us who are tuned in, stay on the line, because momentarily Larry will be critiquing some social media profiles of students who have submitted it in advance. We've also received a few extras in the session today. So hang on tight, folks, and we'll be doing that momentarily.